Hello, and welcome to this episode of DevOps Dialogues, where we talk about insights and innovation. Today, I'm joined by the Futurum Group's Stephen Foskett and Keith Townsend. Thank you guys for being here today. And we're here to talk about conversations that impact AI and generative AI on DevOps, app modernization, and innovation in DevOps methodologies. So we're coming off the AI field day, and it was a really exciting time. Lots of conversations around what was happening in AI field day. Lots of topics that were really impacting the DevOps community, right? When we look at DevOps in general, and we looked at some of the conversations that we were talking about, there's an impact of software modernization. Keith, why don't I start with you? When we look at integration around AI and GenAI, what are your thoughts around some of the findings that we heard around software modernization?
Yeah, so the data pipeline and AI pipeline is not the same as development pipeline. So as you think about your CI/CD process, your development pipeline, there may be some incompatibilities. We're not thinking about revisions of model and retraining and RAG. Updates to modeling, getting your data and refining your data in your models and your inferencing is not going to be the same as your process for rapid deployment of code. At the same time, we're going to see AI impact our ability to get code out faster. We got a lot of examples of basically this co-pilot concept of being able to code faster, better code reviews, etc. So, there's kind of these two pieces of it. AI impacting your overall ability to get the data sets out faster and your ability to actually create and review code faster.
Yeah, absolutely true. And when I talk to CIOs in this space, their number one challenge is this application modernization and generation of code and code cadence coming out very quickly. I'm seeing in our research that we see that 24% of organizations that responded to our research want to release code on an hourly basis, yet only 8% of organizations can do so. So, Stephen, I think when we look at this and we heard all the conversations around modernization, we heard the conversations around AI, the impacts of it, what are your thoughts on that when the impacts to, CIOs and what their challenges are?
Well, I certainly think that the only way to get to that kind of cadence of hourly release cycles, the only way to do that is with the integration of AI tools. Essentially having AI handle lots of the mechanical processes involved with preparing, with testing, with compiling, with rolling out. And I think that it's really inevitable that that's going to happen. I mean, we're seeing AI tools integrated into every area of the stack, every point of the stack. And to Keith's point too, I think that one of the things that we can see is that although the AI development process is not the same as the modern DevOps process, I think what we've seen here too is that there's a lot of flexibility to AI, maybe more than people think. I guess that probably a lot of people who are coming into it and seeing the impact of, like GitHub, AI features, think that this is some ivory tower, some big, heavy in the cloud kind of thing. That's, I think, not what's going to happen. I think what we've seen from all of the AI field day presentations is that this stuff is going to run locally. It's going to be implemented everywhere, and it's going to quickly appear everywhere at every stage. And it's not going to be something where you have to wait until the development platform that you're using integrates it. I think that you're going to have AI just at every point, and that may actually lead to this pretty optimistic world where you're doing that kind of a software development cadence.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things touching on that and kind of double click on that is really taking those stages that you were talking about, or those steps that you're talking about, moving into the CI/CD pipeline, or the continuous development, continuous improvement pipeline. It's an infinity loop, right? So there's constant agile software development methodologies that organizations are building and pushing that code out the door faster. But to your point, Stephen, is you really need to have that automation that kind of helps drive it, and that repository of where that information lives and make it repeatable and faster to get out. I mean, what we're seeing in research, we're seeing that organizations are doing 2 to 3 times more work now than they were just a few years ago with half the resources. So automation is the only way to get there. So Keith, I'm curious of your thoughts. When we look at the CI/CD pipeline and we look at the stages, right? I look at it as in the context of build, day 0, day 1, day 2, build, release, and operations. And when we look at build and release, there's testing, there's pieces. What are your thoughts on how AI would help with that?
So actually, even before AI Field Day, I was having this conversation earlier on. Like, if we think about why we can't get to the point where we're releasing code every hour, there's an element of automation. So we've kind of done this for the past few years, automated the testing that we can automate. But the problem with automated testing, it is just that, it's automated, it's rigid, we can't inject random parameters. I dealt with this when we were developing a software base for video broadcasting at Lockheed Martin, where we could send out bots. We could put bots at the end that would pull down the stream, but they didn't act like humans. So it wasn't a variability to it. And every time we pushed the new release, we crossed our fingers and hope that the scale testing that we did was enough. And inevitably, in a few examples, it wasn't. But what happens when we can get AI bots, AI-enabled bots at the edge that will do things that humans will do, rewind randomly, pause, break the system in ways that we never thought of. And this gets us to a more assured state of testing so that we can, with confidence, get to this higher cadence.
No, I like that. Where you were going with that, that makes a lot of sense, because when I think about the trending data that I've seen in the industry research, in 2022, I ran a study that showed in the CI/CD pipeline, continuous integration testing, only 29% of organizations were doing it. But yet I ran that same study in 2023 and found that 66% of organizations are doing it. So why is that? Because exactly to your point, Keith, the cadence of releasing code, DevOps business KPIs is to push the code out the door, right? We talked about release code very quickly, rapidly, hourly, or daily. They're not looking at it from the testing perspective. So when testing raise their hand and say, hey, we have a challenge here, there's a problem, they're pushing the code out the door because their business KPI does that. So Stephen, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's funny. I would actually zoom in on the same point, testing. You know, developing AI-assisted testing, I think this is going to be a game changer because, as you're saying, instead of having a test plan that is very specific and strict and, you know, first we do this, then we do that, you know, that's almost necessarily going to miss things. If you have more AI-assisted testing, absolutely, it's going to be huge. And of course, operations. I mean, I'm more from the operations side myself. I think AI is impacting that a lot too, but really kind of looking at how to make this cadence quicker. I think test plans is going to be the big thing that's going to go out the window, and we're going to have AI bots doing testing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that also it comes down to a level of maturity within organizations as well, right? I mean, some organizations are, you know, you look at that bell curve, right? Some organizations are going to be far to the right and very, very mature, and some are very much in the infancy of doing this. So there's a very manual process. But pivoting the conversation a little bit, you know, when we look at the DevOps, you know, process and methodology, AI also introduces challenges, right? And some of the challenges might be ethical challenges or legal challenges, copyright challenges, or whatever it may be. What are your thoughts on that, Keith?
So we actually talked about this a lot during the field day. You know, what does it mean to have a safe model? What does it mean to have safe inference? And this is something that's different for every organization. And what I learned specifically that each organization needs to take this seriously. Like the CIOs, CTOs need to think about standing up independent AI ethics offices to think through what is it that they want to get out of AI and what do they want to avoid. You know, at the start of this, I remember getting a quote from one of the big vendors is that we're going to do a lot of stupid stuff. And quite frankly, you don't get a pass in this climate to do stuff that violates your firm's ESG policies, your legal policies. Like as a consumer, I don't care if AI was the thing that released my personal data. I don't care if AI was the thing that said that I can get a refund on an airfare, and it's against your legal policy. That's irrelevant. The AI chatbot is you, and I think this is becoming more and more in view that AI is not just this thing that we can pass off and say, oh, the driverless car hit a pedestrian. Someone is responsible for that, and someone will see litigation as a result. And these are things that we have to take serious, even in our CI/CD process. I think Intel brought up, or it might have been Kamawaza that brought up the challenge of gates that you set up in your CI/CD process. If you're going to use AI for those gates, you better have some type of human random testing or some type of augmentation by humans.
Absolutely, and the way I view it, I think I kind of use this analogy, is it's this kind of the screwdriver and a drill, right? It's like AI is like the drill versus a manual screwdriver turning the screw yourself. It's fast to use AI, but you can also really do some damage if you don't know what you're doing with the drill, right? So it's important to do that. But I think, Stephen, when I look at it from an accountability perspective, what are your thoughts there around this?
Well, it's funny. I think that the answer there is surprisingly straightforward, and that is that, like any tool, to Keith's point, it comes down, somebody's going to be held responsible for it, and it's going to be the person who chose to use that tool for that process. And if you have decided that you're going to use an AI-assisted tool to do software development, well, then you had better make sure that you thoroughly test and evaluate the outputs of it, and make sure that it's actually giving you what you want it to give you, and it's not plagiarized, and it's not dangerous. And it's the same with the rest of this, too. I mean, if you're going to apply AI to the problem, you made that decision. It's not something that happened in a vacuum. And if the AI is not the right tool, and if it doesn't have checkpoints, and it doesn't have controls, and it's going to give you the wrong answer and maybe act in a dangerous way, that's on you as the decision maker, not on the AI having made the wrong decision.
Right.
I mean, if you decide that your toddler can drive your car, it's on you when he hits something, not on him or the car maker.
No, absolutely, and again, it's a tool, right? And you're responsible for the tool. So again, looking at where this conversation is going, there's a lot of different facets around AI. There's a lot of different things that happen with DevOps and such, and what I found interesting about the use of making things faster is it often changes the culture of organizations as well, right? So I was talking about during the recent AI Field Day event, I challenged a lot of the vendors that came up and talked about academic approaches versus reality, right? And because you have the ability to do things and test different models or test different cases, you may be able to do it much faster now with AI. And I'm curious your thoughts on both your thoughts. Stephen, I'll start with you on when we look at testing out these different academic models to say what if scenarios, what if this, what if that happens. How is AI changing the culture within organizations, specifically DevOps?
Well, I think one way that the culture is going to be challenged by AI is the unique nature of rolling out these tools. So as we've heard here, as companies implement AI, it is very likely that it's not going to line up nicely with their organizational lines and their lines of accountability and responsibility and so on. So I do think that organizations are going to have to look very carefully at forming cross-functional tools to bring AI into their environment. They're going to have to figure out how the company's policies are going to be impacted by using these new tools. And they're going to have to figure out basically how they're going to approve or deny the use of new tools and also the use of the outputs from those tools. One of the anecdotal stories that one of the delegates at AI Field Day was telling me was a situation where you had different software development teams, and one of the teams decided that they were going to outlaw any kind of large language model, generative AI. And another team decided that they were going to embrace it. Well, guess what? That's an organizational problem, and that's a problem that has to be solved at a very high level of management. And that's a reality, I think, that we're going to start seeing in the world. We're going to start seeing people making different decisions, and companies are going to have to decide which direction they're going to take.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And when I hear this, it was really interesting. You were kind of talking about it, deciding which direction to take. From the practitioner's perspective, I often hear, "Oh, it's going to take my job. It's going to take my job away." And in fact, what we see in research is 67% of organizations in a recent study indicated that they're looking to hire IT generalists over IT specialists, right? And that doesn't scare me so much as taking people's jobs away. But Keith, I'll turn to you. What are your thoughts? Is the DevOps community going to go away now, and AI is taking it over? Is that what's going to happen?
So we've heard this story, not just, we can go back to the Industrial Revolution about automation around jobs. We can talk about the introduction of spreadsheets and its impact on the accounting industry and the bookkeeping industry. And now we can go back to modernization of just IT operations. There's this fear in the networking community that automation will take their jobs, AI will take their jobs. And I think that community is just coming around to realizing not only is AI and automation not taking my job, it's bringing me higher up the stack and using my experience and knowledge around network operations and making it even more valuable. I think my concern is more about the entry level, because these, if I think about it, for $20 a month, I'm basically getting a junior developer, a junior network admin, or a junior SRE, these people that lighting my load. So the entry path into these professions might be, we'll have to figure out that part of it, but as far as the person that's advanced in their career, I talked to one of the Tech Field Day, AI Field Day sponsors just the day before this recording, and he was saying how he hasn't developed code in 20 years, but because he understands code development, he's now writing some pretty complex routines to understand where in the world people are visiting his website from. This is not his business website. This is just something that he's doing on the side. So AI is definitely an accelerator, not just for business opportunity, but for career.
I like that. I like that comment, because the way I see it as well is it really helps the organizations and the DevOps teams and developers. And I know developers really hate the term using developer velocity, but it really does help organizations increase the productivity of the individuals. But more importantly, it allows the individuals to be more innovative, right, and focus on those high-value tasks versus focus on the more mundane tasks. So, Stephen, one last kind of point here before as our last topic point. How is AI going to impact the purchasing decision of solutions that are in the market? So if we're looking at different test harnesses, we talked about that. We talked about the CI/CD pipeline. We talked about the build, release, and operational pieces. Where do you see predictive kind of results and purchasing impacting, or basically being impacted by AI?
Well, there's a lot of different ways I think that it could be impacted, but I'm going to bring up one that maybe people aren't thinking of, and that is the infrastructure that's used for developing, software developers. I think a lot of people are used to software developers. Basically, the big thing they need is a monitor and keyboard, right? I mean, I think that going forward, we may see more demands for hardware, silicon, being deployed in the hands of software developers. And I know that sounds strange because it's been a long time since they've had any real hardware needs, but maybe we'll see that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually think this will impact non-areas of AI, because as we get back to your first question, the legal and ethical impacts of AI, it has unintended consequences. We're now giving this super powerful tool, this super powerful inferencing tool, not just to developers, but to end business users who have no formal training around ethics around data mining. So in theory, a developer who had, no data science capability can now create an application that basically redlines loan applicants without them knowing that they're redlining applicants. So when we think about procurement, the procurement life cycle, the procurement departments of these really large organizations really have to think through what's the impact of this new tool, whether it's an AI tool or an AI adjacent tool, a tool that feeds data. We at the Futurum Group, we have this intelligence platform that has fabulous data points in this. But a procurement department, I hate to say it, and to slow down people buying more intelligence, please go out and buy the intelligence platform. I would love to see more subscribers. But what happens when I give the wrong people, or at least at the wrong time in their maturity, access to all of this data?
Yeah, and they have little insights with the intelligence platform. The data sets that I've been citing during this presentation today is from the intelligence platform as well. But no, there's a whole other aspect of FinOps and AI Ops, which that's going to lead into a whole different conversation. And unfortunately, we are out of time today. So I do want to thank Keith, you, and Stephen for your perspective and insights. I really appreciate your time today. And I want to thank the audience for attending and watching the session today. Please reach out to us if you have any questions, and look forward to the next episode. Thank you, and have a great day.